What's going on, guys? We are back for another live lesson with another master class here, guitar workshop we're calling it now. I wanted to thank IK again for having me back. We've been doing this every Thursday now for about the last month. If you didn't check out the thumbnail we had up before this, we're going to be giving away amplitude max, and we're going to be doing that at the end of the show. I'm going to give out a question, and you got to give me an answer, and also leave your IK account. But we're going to be doing that at the end of the show, and we're going to announce the winner at the end as well. So working on a couple things all at once here. All right, cool. And I also wanted to promote some of the gear that that IK has sent me to bring you this broadcast today. They sent me over the iRig Stream, which is how we're doing this, paired up with OBS and a couple other fun little programs, so we could stream it out to you guys on Facebook. I know we're on Instagram and YouTube all at once here. Amazing world we live in now. It's crazy. Well, today is all about the Dorian Mode, and pretty much how to use it, and where we can see examples of it. Last week we talked about how to practice your scales, and this would be I would go ahead and apply all those concepts right to what we're about to talk about now. And so let's just dive right into it. What is the Dorian Mode? Well, the Dorian Mode is the second mode of the major scale. So if we're in C major, right? That's going to be D minor. That's your second mode. Making sure I'm getting a nice clean sound. Oh, and plug myself in. What a goof. I'm so sorry. Excuse this noise. There we go. Nice and clean, right? So if we're in C major, right, Dorian would be the starting from D. Right. The other way you can think about it is the major scale with a flat third and a flat seven, right? So if we were going to play D Dorian, or if we're going to play C Dorian, right? We would flat the third, so that E would become E flat, and that B would become B flat. Right? So it's a minor mode, and I use this mode a ton, especially because I play a lot of jazz, and anytime you see like 2-5-1, you can pretty much play Dorian over the whole 2-5 and then resolve to 1. So that's like kind of the beginner's way to play that progression. And the more you study and the more you learn about subs and stuff, and making changes, there's 1,000 ways to play those progressions, right? So some tunes that we're gonna check out today. The first one we're gonna do Oye Como Va, right? This is also called the Santana Mode. Not really, but he uses it a ton. And especially in that tune that... Right, that's all in Dorian. It's got the minor third, and it accents that natural six. Right? Now, everyone, as I kind of talk about in all my stuff, the real key, I think, to being able to play guitar well is learning everything in all the different positions. So here's like the E-shaped position, as they call it in the cage system, right? That's where it's based off of that chord there, right? The E-shaped bar chord, right? And it's... Right, in this case, I'm doing it in the key of A, so that was A Dorian. We'll stick with that one because that's the key for Oye Como Va, and that's the easy key anyway. So if you want to think of it relative to the major, we're like in G major. It's only one sharp, so not too bad. Right? But the key I always say is the learning them in all the different positions, right? So then you have A Dorian here. Right, and then, or just minor, I guess. Right. A Dorian here. And then we also have we call this like the G shape down here. Right? So, and once we get into kind of more, advanced stuff, we could talk about how you can kind of sub things with this scale, but you really want to think of that in a little different way. But kind of checking the notes as we're going here, try to see if we have any people asking questions. Right? Very cool, very cool. I know I have Ryan on the line with me, helping me answer questions as we go. All right, awesome, awesome. So cool. So let's talk about, the different ways we can use this mode and how to practice them. Well, let's start with this shape right here, the E shape, right? So the way I talked about in probably last week, the first thing I would do is go through the positions as well. And it's really important to know the diatonic chords for the major scale. That's going to help you know what mode to play and where they fit in when you're analyzing a chord progression, right? If you know where things fit, you're going to know what scales to use. So a really common chord progression would be like 3, 6, 2, 5, 1. It's a very common turnaround. Another super common progression, this is the Oye Como Va progression. It's just that it'd be like A minor 7. We'll do A minor 7. It's like a D7. Sorry, there's a little bit delay in my ear, so it's making me play a little out of time. Right, and you hear that one all the time. And you could sort of, I'm trying to think of some other tunes where you hear that progression quite, it's in a lot of funk tunes. I know Chameleon, that's another one. Right, that's another, that one's in B flat. Right, so you can use Dorian over that whole thing. Another common tune that'll get called is So What? Right? That's all Dorian. And then it goes up a half step, and it's all Dorian again in E flat instead of D. And then it goes back down. So there's a ton of tunes that use this. I know Impressions, Impressions uses this too. Well, it's the same changes. So this is a super important mode to know, and the more you get comfortable with it, the easier it's going to be to use it, and you'll start to hear it. And accenting just that 6 is going to give you some cool sounds. And another fun thing I do with Dorian is when you can kind of use it over maybe some chords that you're not as familiar with, right? Because the more you go along, you're going to build a ton of lines and a ton of familiarity. You're going to get super familiar with this mode because it's used so often and in so many tunes. So you're going to really get to know this one. And what you can do is kind of use it in other situations. I really like to use some Dorian some Dorian style lines over like a half diminished chord. If you know your diatonic sevenths, right? We were talking about that. In the major scale, your 2 is minor, and then your 1 is major, right? Major 7, and then your 7 here would be half diminished. So it sounds really good to play a Dorian line over a half diminished chord, right over that F sharp, half diminished. Right? Right. Yeah, so we can kind of use some of the modes that we know a little better than others to help us come up with some ideas over changes or maybe some chords that have modes that are a little less that you don't know as well and that you probably won't study as long. You should definitely, study Lokri and get it down so you can. But especially, I know we might have some horn players in here, or we might have some, keyboard players. And I know the modes aren't as easily kind of seen and played on other instruments. The guitar, you need to know the modes really well because it becomes really hard to see the neck and, get to chords without them. But you can use the modes that you know better to kind of imply over different chords. So let's go through some different exercises that I like to do. So I went through all the positions already. I would probably go through the thirds. We talked about that last week. Sorry, a little sloppy there. But yeah, going through thirds. We talked about the intervals there. These are all cool intervals, thirds. I like to do fourths. And this is all diatonic too. So these aren't like, I'm not playing straight fourths, right? Because they're not all going to have perfect fourths, the notes. Right? And then fifths. Gotta practice this a little more. Right. There we go. There it is. Oh, that was six, but yep. So the practicing fifths, and then we'd have sixths. Actually, I went and practiced these a little bit. It's like messing me up on my fifths. I don't have those down as well as I do like the thirds and stuff. They're just a little bit harder interval. There you go. And then we talked about last week, doing the sequences in threes and fours. But you can review that video if you want to get more into some different ways to practice the scales. Let's go over a couple of tunes, right? Let's talk about that Oye Como Va tune. That's a super fun one to call out a gig. It's an easy tune. A lot of people know it. And, people get down on it. It's a good tune. You can groove and dance to it and stuff. Sorry, just checking our chat here. Doing good. Awesome. Right, so the tune is. Always got to back these off because a little bit of delay. So we're really going to use that F sharp in that D7 chord to get our sound. Right, so that F sharp is really going to give us the sound of Dorian. So some fun lines we could try over that, right? So the first one that they do, right, that's like one of the main themes there, is like a minor 7 arpeggio, right? But then we're doing this going back and forth between the 5th and the 7th. Then down to that 6th. And then over to the, I guess, the root of the next chord. So minor 7 arpeggio, right, and 6, 6, 4 if we're thinking all Dorian. Right, and that's a great line that you can kind of take and make your own. Right, we don't have to play the phrasing exactly that way, and we can kind of make something new out of it. Getting a little bit outside the box there with using some chromaticism and stuff, but the idea was still there. You know, I took that line and kind of developed it into something else. You know, and this is another scale that you can kind of mix in with the blues scale. So I know a lot of the guys who are just starting out, you might know the blues scale already. So you can even add in that blue note to your to your mode there. Doesn't sound too often. You can always, you know, kind of use the blues scales, you know, in a minor context that way. Right, and the reason why it works so well over there is because of the chord tones, right? We're using that F sharp over that D chord to really get our sound, right? And that's where you find these chords that will all they share a lot of the same notes. Like we have that A minor 7, right, to D7, right? They both have A in them, right? And they both have C. So what you can really hear, like this, you'll hear the changes just doing this. So really only changing one note. Right, we're taking that G and making an F sharp. Right? So another cool way we can kind of mess around with this scale is something I was kind of working on, was like they call it like you would build these cells and then you would kind of play out with them. But that's a little more. Well, we can do a couple of them. So we would build a cell using Dorian, something diatonic, right there, and then we would play it. Either you can play it a half step up, just something out. And I hear like guys like Eric Dolphy do this kind of stuff. It's more of a modern jazz approach to building some different lines, is using these cells. And I like to use Dorian a lot because I really like the sound of that six. Probably wouldn't bend, but yeah. So maybe a cell would be. Right, so I'm really accenting that six. Then getting back into something super diatonic. So that's pretty much the mode. We talked about, how it's built, how to play it in all these different positions, how to practice it, where you're going to see it. I think the question I'm going to put out there is, do you have a tune that's based in Dorian that you really love to play? Or if you don't, just send us some of your favorite tunes to jam over. What's some of your favorite jam songs? Something that you can just turn on and start improvising over and playing with immediately. So send us in your favorite kind of jam tunes that you guys use, and we're going to announce a winner. Whoever gets the... They have a guy over here who's going to pick it for us. Sorry. And remember, you got to submit your IK account, and then your answer to the question, your favorite jam track that you improvise over. Any kind of tune you have fun improvising over. If it's in Dorian, bonus points. If it's something that's based in the Dorian mode. So I'm just waiting for my man Ryan here to tell me who the winner is, and I think we're going to announce it. Sorry for the dead time. Might be a little bit of delay. And they want me to go ahead and play a little something for you. So we're going to stick with more Dorian lines and stuff. We're going to let a couple more people answer. So we're going to play a couple more Dorian-based funk. Everybody likes a little funk, right? myself a little bit out of tune there. So let's see who they picked here. So sorry, guys. It's darn G strings. All right. So the winner here is Tube 4 JJG. And he said his favorite tune was Oye Komaha and Sapa Pati. Pati. Sorry, I am pasty white and probably pronounced that super wrong. Oh, Samba. Jeez. All right, guys. So sorry. I'm a slow reader here. So 2-4-JG, you are the winner. I hope you go dive into that Amplitude Max. I've been using Amplitude. We actually use Amplitude for this recording, and you get some great sounds right away. It's super fun, super easy to figure out. Thank you guys so much for coming and checking out the lesson today and hanging out with me. We'll be back next week with a whole bunch of new stuff. I think we're going to be giving away something else as well. They're going to announce that. And I believe the topic next week, I think we're going to do Phrygian. I think that's the topic next week. They're going to announce that as well. Thank you guys so much. Thank you, IK, for having me. Take care.